everyone, this is David Pike, the MotorCity mechanic. In today's video, we're going to be changing up the format a bit. Instead of the typical repair video, we're going to be talking about different topics that I think are interesting that are related to the industry, and hopefully that you find interesting as well. And today's topic is going to be having a bad day as a mechanic. I'm going to give you a couple examples of what happened to me this last week that really made me second guess doing this any longer. So my bad week began with two vehicles, one being a Jeep Wrangler and the other one being a Dodge Charger. Now, individually, I didn't have too big an issue, but once you start piling all this stuff on, the situation got worse and worse. So let me just quickly try to elaborate what my bad week was. First one, like I mentioned, Jeep Wrangler. Now this is a postal Jeep, so that means it goes off a lot of roads that are dirt, mud. It's not always on the pavement. So this one needed a transmission replaced. Everything on the bottom of this thing is caked in that mud and dirt that I just talked about. I tried pressure washing it off. It barely even put a dent into it. So at that point, I'm chiseling all the dirt and mud off, trying to get to this transmission, the lines, the cables, and the sensors and all the connectors. Everything's buried, right? Every little task became a 5-minute ordeal. So as I'm fighting this, I've got dirt falling on top of my head, it's getting in my eyes, it's getting in my tools, it's all over me, my uniform, and it's all over the ground. It doesn't matter how many times I wash, how many times I clean the floor, there's more and more dirt. And not just to mention that the engine is leaking oil everywhere. So that's an oily, wet, muddy mess. But you know what, that's part of the job. It happens, right? So as I'm struggling through this, I finally get the transmission out. It took longer than I wanted. It doesn't help that it's probably 100 degrees in the shop. So at this point, I'm like, okay, let me just clean up a bit. Let me go work on something else. I need to tone down a bit. I'm aggravated. I need to get back in a different state of mind. Let's find another ticket to work on, try to make some money. Next ticket, Dodge Charger. It states on the ticket that the customer wants the trans controller updated. That sounds odd in itself because no one really ever comes in saying that. So I asked the service writer more about it, and they said, come to find out, the reason why they want the trans controller updated is because the vehicle will not crank. All right. So at this point, I'm going to go out to the car and try to duplicate the condition, see what's going on. So I go out to this car. I use the remote to try to unlock the doors. Doesn't do anything. Okay, not a big deal. Older cars, remotes don't work. I get it. Well, on the Chrysler vehicles, we have a valet or skeleton key that slides to the back of the remote. So I take the key out, I insert it into the driver's door. It doesn't do anything. It turns left, it turns right, but it does not unlock the door. Now, in some grand wisdom, the engineers decided that only one door needs a lock cylinder, and that's the driver's door. So at this point, I can't unlock it with the remote, I cannot unlock it with the keys, I can't get in the vehicle. Okay, slight aggravation. What are we gonna do? We're gonna try to jimmy it open? Nah, not yet. So I checked the trunk has a key cylinder, I pop the trunk, someone's already folded one of the seats down. I've now got my path of entry. Now, it's not the way I wanna get in the car, but if I gotta do it, I gotta do it. So I'm gonna be crawling through the trunk. So I make my way from the trunk into the back seat, finally getting inside of the vehicle to where I can finally reach and unlock the door. It's over 100 degrees in there. So this bit of a break from the Jeep Wrangler is already turned into another situation that's just making things worse. I get in there, I try to start it, can't start it because it's not in park. The reason why is because the record driver decided to pull the shifter cable off the transmission so that he could get it on the rollback. So I fight to get that back on. At this point, now I'm duplicating the concern it won't crank. While I'm doing this, I'm looking on the floorboard and I see an engine controller sitting there. And on these vehicles, the trans controller is part of the engine controller. I see it sitting on the floor, and now things are just really getting confusing. What is going on? This isn't a typical repair. Somebody's tried something, somebody's replaced something, and something didn't work. So we get a little more to the story. Come to find out, transmission been replaced. They replaced the engine controller, and that's when the situation happened. Well, the reason why I won't start with their used engine controller is because it came out of a different year. It's a different engine, and the security code doesn't match. Well, I know ways around that, and I try to do what I can. Unfortunately, it won't let me. So we have to resort to installing the original engine controller. Put it back in. I'm able to get it started, bring it in the shop. Let's check a few things. We've got some codes related to the transmission. No problem. We'll diagnose those. I go to check the transmission fluid, and I can't. This special tool will not slide down the dipstick. It gets halfway, and it gets bound up. I end up having to jerk it back out. Come to find out, they put the wrong dipstick tube in, and when they tried to make it work, they kinked it when they bent it. So now I can't check the fluid. But you know, there's a good thing too. They didn't bolt the dipstick tube up to the transmission. So there's a gaping hole there. So I just put the special tool in there, and when I pull it back out, the color of the fluid is a milky pink. And if you know anything about transmission fluid, it only gets that way when there's water that mixes with the fluid. So now they're going to need the transmission probably replaced again, because what happens is when the water mixes with that transmission fluid, it gets on all the clutches, it starts deteriorating the clutches, it gets in the torque converter. You almost never can get all of it out. So at this point, we already can tell that they've thrown a bunch of used parts, used transmission, used engine controller, the wrong dipstick tube, and it was another repair shop that did this. So at this point, we basically kind of wash our hands of this. We're not going to be dealing with this Frankenstein car. We've kind of did what we could to get it started. You need to go back to whoever did this work and either try to get some money back from them or get them to make it right. But this situation was, it started out from working with the Wrangler, trying to take a break, and then I get into something a little more aggravating where I'm not getting all the information. I'm dealing with a car I can't even get into. I'm diagnosing a vehicle that is out of the realm of normal. We've got a bunch of used parts. So we're not diagnosing like we typically would. We're trying to check what did somebody else do wrong, and let's check that. It's just one of those things that just started escalating, right? And I'm not already in the greatest of moods. The deal with the Wranglers, I'm only halfway done. I still got to go to it the next day. So that fight is going to be another struggle the next day. It's days like this, as I get older, that I go, do I really still want to do this for a living? It pays well, yes it does. But do I want the struggle? I'm not 60 years old by any means, I'm 45, but it still beats me up. In this case, not physically, but mentally and emotionally, it just drained me. So you got to find a way to kind of separate yourself from these jobs. It could be like trying to find another vehicle to work on, which of course in this case blew up in my face. Maybe it's something you do outside of work that helps you relax, because at the end of the day, it's time to go home. You need to put that stress, that aggravation in your toolbox, leave it there, don't take it home. Because at home, we have enough stuff that we deal with that we have to take to work, because family life and home life is 24/7. Work is from 8 to 6. So we don't need to be bringing none of that home and getting in kind of arguments or just being irritable with the family and the kids. So you need to find something to unwind. For me, at the end of the day, I stop by McDonald's, I get me a vanilla cone. Used to get a sweet tea, but as I've gotten older, my body doesn't like certain things. And apparently sweet tea is one of them. But vanilla cones, I found that I can still take, right? So I get me a vanilla cone, I'm relaxed, I'm good, it's wind down time. I know people that like to go home and smoke fine cigars. Some people like to work on their hot rods, ride their motorcycles, play with their kids. Some people like to drink some kind of alcoholic beverage. We all need to find something that helps us disconnect from the day that we had. Because if you don't, you're going to be that guy that's throwing stuff, cussing, beating up stuff, aggravated the hell and back. And we've seen those guys, right? We've been those guys. You don't want to be like that. It doesn't help. And the one thing you don't want to do is, when you have an aggravating ticket, you don't want to just throw a temper tantrum and leave. Because guess what? When you get back, you're working on the same vehicle again. The best thing to do is, when you got these struggles like this, is put your head down and plow through it. Get it knocked out. Because you know what? There are going to be more good days or better days than there are going to be bad days. Now, if you work somewhere where day after day, week after week, you're having a struggle, you might want to think about another location to work at. It could be the place where you're at, it could be your boss, it could be just how they run the place. Or, let's just be honest, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe it's your skill set, maybe you don't have what it takes. You know what you're capable of. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't do a job, but hopefully you know your strengths and your weaknesses. So hopefully I didn't ramble on for too long. Like I said, it's all about these jobs that just aggravate the piss out of you. It's about finding a way to unwind at the end of the day and try to come back the next day refreshed and ready to tackle whatever's laid out in front of you. So hopefully you like this style of video. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up on YouTube. If there's any topics that you would like for me to talk about, or if you got any comments or suggestions about anything in today's video, or you've got ways that you cope with stressful days, bad tickets, bad cars, please make sure to leave something in the comments below. Everybody reads them, we all learn from them. So anything that you add to that really does help out in the end. If you need to get a hold of me, you can email me at david@motorcitymechanic.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, if you like to shop on Amazon, make sure to click on the link that's in the description below the video. Make that your home page for Amazon, and any purchases that you make will help support this channel. Once again, everybody, thanks for watching.